school sports. We'll trust honesty, empathy, hard work, and humility to bring out the best in us and show us the way. The IHSAA. We'll look for you at a high school game or meet very soon.
It's the Sports Zone with Keith Myers and the Indiana SRN Sports Team. Made possible by Morales Group, College Hunks and Movers, the IHSAA, and Aspen Creek Grill. Now, let's join Keith and his guests.
Well, it is the Sports Zone on this fine morning. Thank you very much for joining us. It's 11 o'clock in Indianapolis, as Sports Zone from 11 to 12 noon Eastern. Thank you so many. People are commenting on the Sports Zone and so many listeners. And with us now is Shannon Hand. He is our boss at the Indiana High School Athletic Association because he makes us keep kind of busy during the playoffs. And Heath, thank you very much for joining us.
Absolutely, Keith. Thanks for having me.
You bet. I tell you, it's been a long time since we've had a playing gymnasium or field for a while. The silence is driving a little bit of people kind of stir crazy.
Yeah, it's been a little strange. I mean, obviously we are living in unprecedented times, and it is just a little strange to know that there's a lot of gymnasiums that are sitting empty right now. And that doesn't happen in Indiana.
Talk a little bit. Our guest is Shanahan. You have a special guest with us, so occasionally we may hear that little baby. Introduce little Shanahan to our studio audience.
Yeah, so with Governor Holcomb's suggestion of working at home, Commissioner Cox has asked us all to work remotely right now. So I am the proud father of 3 little ones, and my littlest is Isla. She's 15 months, and she is joining us on this call because Mom is now playing zone defense of her own downstairs with the other two older ones. So I've got Isla with me up in the bedroom, which I'm calling my office right now because, again, with a third one, my old office became a bedroom all of a sudden. So my new home office is now in my bedroom where I can find a little bit of peace and quiet. But Mom has asked if today I could be I could kind of put on 2 hats, be the IHSAA Director of Broadcasting and also the Dad of the Year, I guess.
How about that? My workstation is only 15 feet from my kitchen, and I kind of like it because I can grab coffee and still do the show. So thanks for joining us. Hey, talk a little bit about what you're doing during this idle time, because there's so much, and we got to gear up maybe for the spring season if that happens, but for definitely getting geared up for the fall season.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the spring season. We're all still crossing our fingers that we'll get some sort of a contest happening. It's not too late to have a postseason still. If we go back to school on May 4th, I would think that postseason is still an option. It might be on life support, but I think it's still an option. Obviously, I'm not the one who has the authority to say yes or no. That would be Commissioner Cox and one of the 5 other assistant commissioners. But I'm still going to hold out hope as long as I possibly can. So, we are doing a little bit of prep work right now. You always have to be prepared, obviously. We've got a great relationship with Fox Sports Indiana for baseball. So, we're still talking to Victory Field about what that can look like. And, they've got a brand new facility almost there. They've done a lot of renovations at Victory Field. So we're doing unfortunately, we can't do any actual site visits right now, but we're doing some virtual site visits, looking at, some cable runs and everything to actually do a television broadcast of baseball should we have it. And then, we're going to be up at Purdue for softball. I mean, I'm still working as if I'm assuming spring sports are going to happen. So we'll be up at Purdue at Bittinger Stadium just to, get in those 4 softball state championships as well. So doing a little bit of prep work there, just trying to figure out exactly where we can broadcast, how we can broadcast, who we can broadcast to. Are we going to be able to have patrons in the stands? I don't know. I don't know any of those answers, and I wish I could give you some of those answers, but I don't have any right now. But we're still kind of, I don't want to say business as usual because it's very strange, but I still have to treat it as if we've got contests happening. And Keith, as you know, when you said very tongue-in-cheek, I'm your boss, but we do a lot of stuff online, and Indiana SRN is a great partner of ours you guys do some fantastic broadcast, video broadcasts on our Champions Network website at IHSAATV.org. So, we're still trying to make sure we've got everything we need on that website as well. This is a lull right now, for lack of a better term, in content. There was no basketball from regionals on. So, we've been airing some classic games on there, and now we're looking at some features we've done in the past. I know Indiana SRN has recently aired our Lagodi feature whenever you guys had a Lagodi basketball game. And we've got a lot of features like that out there. So we're just trying to not necessarily replay, but for what it is. We don't have any new content right now because there's no games and no gyms being filled up. So we're looking at some older content that we can grab from the archives and put out there. And you'd be shocked at how much work that actually is when you really start looking at a database and realize that, holy cow, we've got all sorts of broadcasts and features from 2012 online right now. Let's make sure ours is tightened up and make sure it looks good. It's easy to navigate. And really, if I can say anything, if there's a silver lining from all this right now, it's just really allowing me to kind of clean some things up and make sure everything is spick and span for our great fans we have out there.
You talk about 2012 Indiana SRN. It turns 12 this sports season in the fall, and we're looking forward to that. You talked about all those games, and people are hitting those websites and watching those games, and getting feedback back and forth with this sports zone that we just started bringing that back to life. So many people around the state of Indiana, but I cannot believe to tell you, Heath, how many people around the world are listening in a different time zone from 11 to 12 to hear what we have to hear, because people still want to hear about Indiana athletics and especially high school sports.
Absolutely. And that's, obviously, the Indiana is known as a basketball state, right? I mean, we've got a great professional team. We've got wonderful colleges who have had so much history, and it's but high school basketball is still the number one sporting event in Indiana. I mean, I think anybody could say otherwise, but I would argue with them until the day I'm in the grave, because there's just so many people coming to our website and coming to us and coming to all of our affiliates. I've had discussions with you, and I've had discussions with the guys up in Fort Wayne with Summit City Sports, and I've had conversations with the guys down in Southern Indiana, and people are coming to watch their games, even in the archive form, because they're just dying for content right now, and they're dying to watch what Indiana's known for, and that's high school basketball. We've had some excellent reruns, or I guess replays of games all the way from 1954. We had the Milan game against Muncie Central. We had the Milan game, the semi-state game, actually, which has really never been seen before, never been broadcast before, of the Milan versus Terre Haute Gershmeyer, I believe. I was not quite around in 54 to be able to know that was even a high school, and I'm sure with consolidations it's no longer exists. So it's one of those things where, man, there are people out there who are just craving high school content still. And again, I guess if there's a silver lining, at least it's us that can be the ones to actually give it to them.
It's a very interesting. You mentioned Terre Haute Gershmeyer, because I remember doing the Pizza Hut Classic, which is no longer the Pizza Hut Classic in Terre Haute, but my lovely wife and I sat in front of guys who played in that game, Heath, as we were doing that tournament, and the reminiscing of all those guys. And then the next day they brought her the program of that game. It's incredible.
That is excellent. That's a great story.
We're going to take a break, Heath. When we come back, you got to put your thinking cap on, because we're going to talk to you about your favorite memory of Indiana high school athletics when we come back, okay?
All right.
All right, we'll take a 2-minute break. We'll be right back right after this. You're listening to Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job. That helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get, we know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
So you called us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, God's Word 24/7, and sports.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Craving comfort fresh food made from scratch daily? Check out Aspen Creek Grill. Located across from Hamilton Town Center and beside the Holiday Inn, we offer family farm-raised premium Black Agnes steaks hand-cut daily, creamy pastas, salmon chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Start with our famous powwow shrimp appetizer and don't miss our refreshing drinks. Family-friendly or a great night out with friends. Aspen Creek Grill. Aspen Creek Grill, Noblesville. Call 317-559-3300.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, home for God's Word 24/7 and sports. Back on the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN, Heath Shanahan joins us. Before we get to your last question, Heath, there's so many people that want to know behind the scenes, what got you started and what got you motivated doing what you're doing for the association, and then how you branched out and developed a partnership with Indiana SRN.
Well, I mean, if we're going to go in the Wayback Machine for me here, I started in broadcasting back when I was in high school. So, I went to Martinsville High School, and Eric Meyer, who I'm now allowed to call him Eric Meyer instead of Mr. Meyer, he finally gave me the approval. So, he has a great program down there at Martinsville, and that's kind of where I got the bug, right? You always get addicted to something somewhere. And in high school, that was where I got addicted to broadcasting. And, as part of the program, we were going out, we were doing live games, we were doing feature packages. I mean, we were doing a little bit of everything that you see on sports channels now. And so that's just where I got the bug. And then I went to Ball State because of that for telecommunications, and I continued to love it. And right after Ball State, I got a job with MS Communications, which is the flagship radio partnership or partner of the IHSAA for the Champions Radio Network. So I got my first real life experience, I guess, or my first, professional experience right in the radio industry, working with Chris Kaufman and Jason Willey, back right after I graduated from Ball State. So that was a great introduction, really, to the IHSAA's broadcast side of things. I played sports in high school and knew of the IHSAA because they hosted our tennis tournament every year, right? But I never really knew exactly what all that meant, because tennis just doesn't get the coverage. I mean, it's just not a sport that's easily broadcasted, for one thing, and then it's not just not a sport you see very often on television. So I knew they hosted our tournaments in high school, but then once I got out, I quickly realized there's a lot of other arms to the IHSAA. I mean, I know you've talked to Sandra Walter in the past. I mean, she'll talk to you about officials all day. I mean, I'm not kidding. She'll talk to you for hours about officials, and there's a lot of officials out there who would love to talk to you about being an official also. So I mean, there's just a lot of different sides to the IHSAA. So I learned that pretty quickly when I was at MS, and one thing led to another, and I started doing things with what were branded as IHSAA TV, and then kind of the video side of things, which is, you guys are on both sides. So you're on radio and audio, and you're on the video side. So, once I started doing more video stuff, kind of in a, independent contractor type situation, Commissioner Cox and, Assistant Commissioner Kaufman, realized very quickly that this is growing, and this is an area that, as far as creating your own content and managing your own content, we're going to need somebody in house to kind of be the director of all of that and make sure everything stays in line, and make sure that it's not something that they can keep track of every day, because they've got commissioner and assistant commissioner jobs to do as well. So they created a position, and I guess being there in front of them already, they just asked me if they brought me in for an interview, and I was thrilled to death just to get an interview, and later found out I was the only person they interviewed. So I thought, I felt pretty good about that as well. And they hired me as the director of broadcasting, and, quickly got involved with the executive staff, and now sit on the executive team. And, we're moving onward and upward from there. And when I first started, the question was how do we continue to grow this? And, we can only go out and do one game. I mean, I'm only one person, so I can go out and do one game or one site, I guess, if we're in basketball, at like say the sectional regional. If I can do one site, I can't be at 64 different sectionals, right? So the question was, how do we grow from there? And is it to create an affiliate program? And that's kind of where we started going. We built an affiliate program. Indiana SRN was one of the first groups to reach out to us and say, hey, how do we get involved? I had a great conversation with you and your beautiful wife, and then also with Jerry Collins, who came in and talked to us. And from there, we developed this program with the helps of groups like Indiana SRN and Summit City Sports and Hamilton County TV, who kind of helped us model what we were going to do. And now we've got a program. We've got 12 affiliates around the state of Indiana who bring all their content to the Champions Network. And we've just we're kind of the go-to place now to find out where can I watch a game on a Friday, Saturday, Wednesday, Tuesday, whatever it is. Go to the IHSAATV.org, and there's probably something there. And if there's not, they're going to point you in the right direction at least. So, we've created this monster, and we're still trying to figure out how to get it bigger, how to grow it bigger. We'll have an educational program next year. That's what we're working on right now, as well as how do we get these educational outlets who are out there doing these games, doing these broadcasts, but are not getting the viewership because they're an educational station, right? I mean, those who know about them might be in their community, might only be within their school. How do we help get them eyeballs? Well, a great way to do that is to use our vehicle that we've already built, and that, they're part of our membership. Let's see how we can get them involved. So, we're coming up with an educational program right now that's going to allow more and more of those schools to have their content shown on IHSAA TV as well. And some early conversations with some instructors, they're all really excited about it. They think it's going to be great for them and great for us. And we're kind of that clearinghouse of high school sports right now in the state of Indiana, which is really, really neat, really cool. And it's great to watch the trajectory of the website. I mean, it's been growing since day one. In 2010 is kind of when it started, and then 2012 is when it really ramped up even more. And now we're continuing to move forward, and that's so much fun, and that's really rewarding to be able to see just the route that it's taking.
Adding our fourth webcast station in the fall will expand that partnership, and we were very blessed to do 2 of the 4 semi-states and girls, and we were looking forward to doing the same thing for boys, and it's been a great relationship for us. And Jerry and I want to thank you and Bobby Cox, who really birthed this thing, and a good friend of both of ours, Rick, has helped us behind the scene as well. It's just a good partnership.
Yeah, and enough can't be said about, the right people in the right places. Everyone that we work with is a supporter of high school athletics and a supporter of student-based athletics and, education-based athletics, which is kind of a term Bobby likes to use. But, it's so true. Everyone that's involved, from you guys to, you mentioned Rick Vanderweilen, he's been doing broadcast for many years as well, and it's just he's just excited about what we're doing still and how we're growing. He's our consultant at the IHSAA, has owned 9 companies of his own, has owned a television station, and has owned a live video producer, and now is retired and is just kind of helping us with the knowledge and the know-how to do a lot of these things. So it really is knowing the right people in the right places. And we've got a great product right now, and it's only going to get better.
I don't think you could call him retired because he's always busy.
No, yeah, I hope whenever I finally retire one of these years, I'm not as busy as he is in retirement. Because man, that guy is everywhere.
I'm the same way. Hey, let's talk about your favorite your favorite sport memory.
Sure, and I mentioned earlier I'm from Martinsville, so one that's a little more Martinsville based, and I don't want to, Martinsville's had a lot of success in the past, but not when I was in school. We didn't have a lot of success. I was in high school from 2000 to 2004, but what we were finally able to do was break through to that regional round. We won our sectional in basketball. Not me. I say we because I went to the school. I was not blessed with the athletic talent to be able to play down there on that court. But when I was a junior, we won sectional. We won our first game of regional, and at this point, I don't even remember who we played in the regional final, but I just remember the team, and I remember the atmosphere, and I remember the whole school coming together. And that's kind of what we always say too, is you're not going to remember the games when you're older. You're going to remember the memories that you made. And that's why that one always sticks out to me, because man, all my friends, we all got together, we painted our chest, and I remember it was at Seymour. We went to Seymour for the regional final, and it was just a great experience and a great trip for all of us to head down there. And then we went and got lunch in between the games, and then it was probably late lunch at that point. Then we went back for the regional final. It was just so exciting, and that one sticks out to me. And that was one of the better Martinsville teams of the early 2000s. And again, we haven't had a lot of success lately, but historically Martinsville has had some success. So that's my personal favorite high school sports memory is being able to go into the regional final and watch my Artesians ultimately get beat in a very, very close game, but still just that memory we had. But now if I'm thinking about a more common that everybody can kind of relate to, we were at that again Seymour semi-state this time, where it was New Albany versus Warren Central, number one in the state, versus with the David Bell led team versus the Romeo Langford led New Albany team of 2 years ago, and just how exciting the atmosphere was, and just how electric everything was, how it was standing room only, and all the standing room was even 4 people deep, and right. David Bell hits that runner off the glass at the buzzer to win, and just the place just erupted. And obviously everybody knows Romeo Langford with how great of a high school career he had, and then of course he went to IU, which everybody knows everybody from IU. So and now I'm playing for the Boston Celtics right now, and that really shows how great of a athlete and player he was. And seeing that undefeated number one in the state Warren Central team come in and go toe to toe with, and yes, they were undefeated, and in reality they probably weren't an underdog, but nobody expected Romeo Langford led team to go in there and get beat. And New Albany was up the entire game, but Warren Central just kept fighting back like they did all year, kept fighting back till eventually they were in the position to take that last shot, and boy did they take it, and they hit it, and man, the place just erupted. And it was just really exciting to be there in person and be able to see it all unfold. And now watching it back, and I was blessed to have the voice of the 500, Mark Janes, on the call that night with Jan Bozier, and just hearing that historic voice of Mark Janes calling the action. And I don't know, it brings back a great memory. You can think about it and smell the popcorn still, and just think about how great the game was all the way through. And everybody played with really great sportsmanship that day. The officiating was top notch, and when you think back and you think about that memory, that's been my most memorable and my favorite memory I've had.
2 things. We were in Washington that day because I remember watching your game because our game was running a little late, and we watched that shot, and then we had to get ready for our broadcast. I also just want to remind you, March 9th, you played Castle that year, got beat 58-51 in the regional.
Look at you. I remember that now when you said it was Castle. Was it at Seymour? For some reason, I remember Seymour.
It was at Seymour.
See, part of my memory is still there. See? Yeah, but that was a fun one. That was let's see, we had TJ Wolf back then. We had Tim Dearlove shooting lights out threes. We had Dustin Huff, I believe, was still there. And we had a foreign exchange student that we called Ollie that was there playing for us. So, that was one of the more fun Martinsville teams of recent memories.
I'm going to tell you a little story. Tim Wolf was the head coach then. I refereed a ball game of that year, and I did the Southport game where you beat Southport 58-45.
All right,
How about that?
look at that.
How about that? Memory.
Well, our worlds collide more and more all the time.
Yes.
There, Keith. I mean.
Okay, here comes your quiz. Are you ready?
All right.
All right. Barney Fife or Gomer Pyle?
I mean, Barney Fife's the name that I know. I'm going to say I'm a little bit younger than you, Keith, so I hope I don't mess up this quiz too much here.
You don't remember Gomer Pyle, but you got to look at.
I know the name.
Okay, go to MeTV today at 9 o'clock. You'll be able to see that. Email or text?
See, I'm an email guy still. I might be a little bit different than my millennial generation here, but I'm an email guy still. I feel like I sometimes, and you might have been able to tell from this conversation, I give too much detail sometimes, and I talk too much, and via text that's just a little harder.
That's why I love you, man. Golf or tennis?
I'm a tennis guy. Played tennis in high school. Played tennis growing up, so I'm a tennis guy.
Okay, popcorn or pretzels?
That's a good one. I mean, nothing says Indiana high school basketball like the smell of popcorn when you walk in. But you know what? Nothing says state championship either like walking up on the concourse at Bankers Life and get one of those soft pretzels that just has, that just is so soft and just melts in your mouth. I know you didn't specify soft pretzel, but I'm going to go with popcorn just because, again, what's better than walking into, again, Seymour and having that smelling that popcorn.
Yeah, those soft pretzels at the state tournaments are really good, and I've had one when the cheese sauce is on my tie and my shirt. Final one, here we go. Burger King or Taco Bell?
I got to go Burger King. I'm more of a chicken sandwich guy, and
Okay.
You can't really get very good chicken sandwiches at Taco Bell.
No, but boy, they got great burrito supremes.
Well, yeah, no doubt. Cheesy gordita crunch is my go-to whenever I go to Taco Bell.
Hey, Heath, thanks so much for your time today. Appreciate you spending some time with us.
Absolutely. I hope my little one here yelling at me is not too distracting.
It's awesome. Thanks so much. Those are gift from God is what I call those.
Absolutely.
Have a great day. We'll talk to you again.
Sounds great. Thanks, Keith.
We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
Piper Group Warehouse has a strong commitment to their clients as their logistics provider. If you would like to discover how you can improve your service levels while lowering your overall cost, Piper Logistics Group can help. Call Greg Piper today at 317-396-3916. Piper Logistics Group.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
It was a challenge that was given by my father. He wanted me to give back much more than I had been. Then I realized that when he said more, he wanted me to see how I could give more. We're willing to serve others, and we're not expecting something in return.
We're building those futures here. If you're about building better futures one story at a time, come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
Hey, Derek here. Please give me just a few seconds to explain why I can help you better than anyone else, guaranteed. I create for you a super fast and responsive client-grabbing website that increases customer acquisition by almost 300%. Your new website will honestly value at over $2,000, and you will get it for a huge and ridiculous discount if you act right now. Contact me today. Let's build something great together.
Contact Derek at PCProsLLC.com.
You're listening to IndianaSRN.org. It is the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN. Thank you very much for listening. Thanks for the input, and tell your friends about it. In Sports Zone, Monday through Friday from 11 to 12 noon Eastern. On the hotline now is Chris May. He is the director of the Indiana High School Basketball Hall of Fame. I am not in it yet. I don't understand why, Chris. I've been doing high school sports now for 15, 20 years. I don't understand why I'm not in the Hall of Fame yet.
Well, we'll work on that one, but it's good to be with you today.
I appreciate you working on that one for me. Tell us a little bit about the Hall of Fame. The museum is wide open. It's not open at this time, but you've been involved with it for a long, long time. What got you started?
So I got hired almost 11 years ago, and have been out here in that entire time frame. As an organization, we're proud that this is our 30th anniversary. This summer of 2020 will be the 30th year since our grand opening in June of 1990. And a lot of cool things and cool people and awesome happenings have taken place. But my story, short and sweet, I worked in broadcast, radio mostly, internet world a little bit there. And the previous director, Roger Dickinson, was retiring. A friend of a friend made a connection. And I've always been a huge basketball guy. I love sports, but basketball was always the sport for me. And, took a chance, and they took a chance on me too. I was 26, so I didn't really honestly think I had a chance getting the job, but you interview and you work through the process, and here we are 11 years later almost.
You got to love what you do. I know that we follow you during the high school basketball state tournament. You got to be on a network, and broadcasting has opened up a lot of doors, just not for you and myself, but a lot of people. And with Indiana SRN, as you are aware of, we get a lot of raw talent, and then they go elsewhere. But that's exactly what you're supposed to do with the craft that we provide.
Yeah, like you said, connections, I think, is a key word there. You meet people and you network, and that's not just from an athlete standpoint, but also the administrators and all the other people that are out in the high school athletics world in Indiana. And I've told people, speaking to college classes, whatnot, I never would have predicted I was going to have this job. It's not like it's something I set out for, and you meet people, life happens, and here you go. And so that's why when people ask me how I got this, I tell them it's a great passion and a little bit of luck and a little bit of timing, and that's how it comes together.
Talk about the day-to-day operations of the Hall of Fame. How many people, how many visitors do you have during one time of the year, and which is the busiest time of the year? Is it during basketball season itself, or is it during the summertime?
We are seasonal, and there are a couple of different seasons. But yes, March typically is probably our second busiest time of the year, I would say. And so this past March has been a real bummer. Obviously, all of us that are basketball fans missed a high school tournament being completed, the NCAA tournament, all those sorts of things. But also around here, it's a time where the weather is starting to change, and kids have spring break, and basketball's on a lot of people's minds. And so March has been a really busy time around here. But as I mentioned, we're seasonal, and our biggest crowds day in, day out occur really when school is out, summer vacation time. So it's roughly from June to August. June, July, and August are really good for foot traffic. And it's really interesting because we attract people from all over the world, literally. And about 50% of our visitors are from Indiana, and therefore about 50% are not. And during those summer months, when you have people that are maybe driving across the country on a family vacation, or traveling for whatever reasons, you are just as likely to run into somebody inside our museum who's from Washington State or Florida or Maine or California as you are from Indianapolis or Evansville or Fort Wayne. And so that makes it really cool.
One of the things I did as a basketball coach way back in the day is I took my basketball team to the Hall of Fame, and then the next day we went to Hoosiers Gym to shoot hoops, and then we were fortunate to do a basketball game at Hoosiers Gym, and two of those things are great partners. I know you guys promote each other, and that's a neat thing about a kid growing up in Indiana. They could see Hoosiers Gym and they can go to the Hall of Fame all in really one day if they wanted to.
Yeah, we do try to partner quite a bit, and that also is part of that summertime traffic that we attract. Is that in the last few years especially, Hoosier Gym has taken on a lot of high school scrimmages or summer exhibition games, and a lot of those teams are going to come our way. And also, it's not necessarily a for-profit stop, but obviously being right next door to the Newcastle Fieldhouse is part of the reason the museum is where we are. And so I often reference here in Henry County, which includes Knightstown and Newcastle. I say, basketball fans could see the Hoosier Gym, the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, and the Newcastle Fieldhouse all within, an hour or two of time span. It's not an all day adventure. And so we get a lot of high school teams, we get a lot of youth teams, things like that. And it's a really educational and fun experience for them.
Well, you forgot the big shoe. They can go see the big
Yes.
shoe.
Well, that's when you come to the Hall of Fame. For folks who aren't familiar, we have a giant shoe outside near the parking lot. It's about 7.5 or 8 feet tall at the tallest, and that's the photo op for sure. That's team photos, family photos, goof off selfies, all those kinds of things.
I told my kids that was Walt Frazier's shoe, and they thought they believed me until they realized that Walt wasn't from Indiana. Hey, Chris.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go right ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's definitely notable, the shoe.
Yeah.
We either get questions or comments about the shoe, and that's how you know you're in Hall of Fame territory in basketball country, is when you see the big shoe outside the Hall of Fame.
That's right. Great. Chris, we're going to take a 2-minute break. When we come back, we're going to talk about your favorite memory of high school sports, okay?
Sure thing.
We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
Piper Group Warehouse has a strong commitment to their clients as their logistics provider. If you would like to discover how you can improve your service levels while lowering your overall cost, Piper Logistics Group can help. Call Greg Piper today at 317-396-3916. Piper Logistics Group.
PNC Bank has technology to help make banking easier, like PNC Easy Lock, so you can easily lock your credit card when its maximum limit differs from its vertical limit. And CloverFlex, for when you need to take credit cards when no one carries cash, or requesting a call to help get a new credit card, one that hasn't followed the family goldfish. PNC, make today the day.
Call Tammy at the McCordsville branch, 317-335-2555.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, God's Word 24/7, and sports. Do you want to hear your favorite team on IndianaSRN.org? It's easy to do, calling all the play-by-play and colored commentary. High school sports along with youth sport, Mr. Wizard is waiting for your call. Contact him at 317-443-0052. We're ready for every touchdown, basket, and goal. Contact Mr. Wizard, 317-443-0052.
Hey, Derek here. Please give me just a few seconds to explain why I can help you better than anyone else, guaranteed. I create for you a super fast and responsive client-grabbing website that increases customer acquisition by almost 300%. Your new website will honestly value at over $2,000, and you will get it for a huge and ridiculous discount if you act right now. Contact me today. Let's build something great together.
Contact Derek at PCProsLLC.com.
Back on the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN. Thank you very much for joining us. Chris May joins us. He's the director of the Indiana High School Basketball Hall of Fame. A lot of people in that Hall of Fame, a lot of memories back there, and I'm sure you have a lot of memories about high school games. What is maybe one or two of your favorite memories?
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't limit me to one, because I was trying to think about how you possibly limit that, as many games as guys like you and I have seen. But I mean, as far as games are concerned, one that sticks out is the 2005 3A championship. Washington beat Plymouth. Luke Zeller's near half-court shot. I was courtside, and I was roughly in line with pretty close to where he launched the shot. And, things like that are pretty crazy. And, that was an overtime game. They had come from behind after trailing Plymouth. And for Washington, that was obviously the first of a line of state championship for Zeller brothers at Washington High School. I mean, that's a really cool one. But, I think I could go on and on and on. I remember watching the Greg Oden and Mike Conley, Lawrence North teams, and the crowds and games and performances that those guys put in, and so many more things. But, those are a couple that stand out.
You remember the old 3-point basket contest that the IHSAA tried to do way back when. I know Terry Kreider and I got to do a little bit of those. Some of the things they try to do to get fans in, to get people back when class basketball started, but they don't need to do those things anymore. I think our attendance, maybe not what it was back in the day, but it's getting better and better.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, like you're referencing, the slam dunk contest, 3-point shooting contest, and things like that, which I think were interesting. As far as attendance and fan support, we're in an age where every kid has a cell phone, and you've got 800 channels on your TV, and you've got the internet, and you've got YouTube, and all these sorts of things. So the entertainment attention span is shorter and harder to capture than ever before. And so I think that's just the reality of the world we live in. But it's still really neat when you see kids going to these high school games and finding their heroes, their role models, going home and wanting to emulate what the move they just saw or the player they just saw. I took some kids to the Marion County Championship game this past season, the Lawrence North Lawrence Central Championship game at Southport High School, and their eyes were open. And oh my gosh, look how good these guys are. And I think that's still the real value and attraction into high school sports. For $5 or $6, you can go see kids that are going to become, not only Indiana All-Stars, but college, kids you see on ESPN, and maybe a few NBA guys. And it's the best entertainment value there is, and I'll never be convinced otherwise.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the price admission for the Hall of Fame when it starts opening. I'm sure you'll be doing that on social media. What does it cost, and the hours?
Sure. Yeah, we hope we'd love to know when the hours are going to resume normal operations. But our full-fledged, speaking of best values, our full priced admission is $5. We try to stay in line with the cost of going to a high school game. But we have discounts for senior citizens. We have discounts for kids. We have steep discounts for teams and group tours. So we encourage people to come our way and don't want the dollar to be the barrier to that. Our typical hours this time of year would be, we're open 7 days a week. That's from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and also open Sunday afternoons from 1 to 5. And yes, of course, once the conditions change and we're back to normal, we'll be promoting that. Our website is hoopshall.com. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and encourage people to follow along that way. Even if not to know when or if the museum is open, all kinds of history, trivia, Hall of Fame tie-ins, all kinds of photos and fun stuff like that we've got going on social media, especially right now.
Yeah, and if you're a coach, you should take your team to see that Hall of Fame. It's a neat thing. It's a good dollar to spend. Okay, Chris, are you ready for your quiz?
Hit me with it.
Okay, Andy Griffith or the Gilligan's Island show? What would you rather watch?
Andy Griffith.
Burger King or Taco Bell?
Ooh, probably Taco Bell.
Oh, man of my own heart. Good job. Spinach or carrots?
I eat a spinach salad almost every day. Spinach.
Do you really?
Yep.
I know this one, but I'll give you this one anyway. Email or text?
Text.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you sent a nice little email, and that was very nice of you to do that. So, hey, thanks so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. We'll see each other again. I know we're going to see each other again during state tournament, but it's always a joy, and you always say hello to us, and we appreciate that. You have a great day and stay safe.
Hey, thanks a lot for the opportunity.
You bet.
Take care.
We'll take a break. We'll be right back right after this. You're listening to the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job. That helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get, we know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
So you called us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, God's Word 24/7, and sports.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Craving comfort fresh food made from scratch daily? Check out Aspen Creek Grill. Located across from Hamilton Town Center and beside the Holiday Inn, we offer family farm-raised premium black Agnes steaks hand-cut daily, creamy pastas, salmon chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Start with our famous powwow shrimp appetizer, and don't miss our refreshing drinks. Family-friendly or a great night out with friends. Aspen Creek Grill. Aspen Creek Grill, Noblesville. Call 317-559-3300.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, home for God's Word 24/7 and sports. It is the Sports Zone on Indiana SRN. Thank you very much for joining us. This guy started my football career when I was 18 years old. I think you were at North Putnam High School as the athletic director. Herb King joins us. Hi, Herb.
Hey, how you doing, Keith? Great to get to talk to you one more time.
Can you believe I was 18, I am now 60. So I know how old you are, and now you know how old I am. We're older than dirt.
It feels that way at certain points. We've seen a lot of things go and come, and with this situation we're in right now, this is totally different for all of us. But we're going to see some really interesting things come out of this in terms of how sports are run, how we're doing things within our families, all those kinds of things. And I'm older than dirt. That's great. My kids tell me that all the time.
Let's talk a little bit about your career. You with FCA, you coach football, you're a fellow broadcaster. A lot of people think broadcasters are in competition. We don't think that way because we bounce each other off with some ideas. You worked a couple games with us at Indiana SRN when you first started your career. Now you're a big-time broadcaster doing college stuff. But take us back from the beginning. Who motivated you to get in maybe to education, coaching, and now in broadcasting?
Well, I grew up in a little town called Mentone, Indiana, between Warsaw and Rochester. Went to Tippecanoe Valley High School, where I played football for Charlie Smith. We were at one time that was a state power. When I was playing there, we won the state title in '79, my senior year, and in '77 and '78, we had 2 undefeated regular seasons. And I get to see a lot of different people and different things going on. And as I went through my college career, going on to Bluffton and playing football there, and then finishing my degree at Grace College, I got to see a lot of different things. When I went to Grace, and here's another one. So I broadcasted in and I'm going to have to throw this one way back. This would be 1983, 84, 85. So I was broadcasting long before you knew me. But in that process, had a chance to work with Rita Price Simpson.
Oh yeah.
And the broadcaster and Hall of Famer from up there, and she's a family friend. Matter of fact, she purchased a business from my father during that time period, and she put me on the air, and had a chance to do that while I was finishing my degree. That was one of the ways I got through college. So from there, went to and I also coached football at Triton High School as an assistant in 1984 or 83 and 84, and came to Covington, Indiana as an assistant coach and taught business and did some other things. Met my wife here in Covington, and that's where we're living now. And just went on from there. Then to North Putnam, a couple years coaching at DePaul while I was still teaching at North Put, and then to South Decatur for 3 years, on to Rockville for 14, and now I've been at Seeger as the head football coach at Seeger for 4 years. This will be my 5th year coming up. So like 20, it's awful. 29 years as a head coach in football, and then all the way through that time period, I've had chances to do some broadcasting. Everybody had found out that I'd done things in previous places, and so I'm thinking like 9 different radio stations I've actually broadcasted games on. And that's kind of rare too, because I don't really have a home that way. Where I end up, they allow me to do those things. And the same thing with where we worship and the churches and different things. Led music in 4 different churches. My daughter has a worship ministry degree and is working in a church in Pennsylvania. And, all those things come around. And so people ask me, how busy are you? I'm very busy, but it's a scheduling conflict. That's what I end up with. Not that I don't like it. I enjoy what I'm doing, but there's a lot of scheduling conflicts that I have to make sure are ironed out before I get the week started.
You talk about Rita, and for 12 years, about 8 years straight, we sat next to her during our broadcast of the state final basketball. Her station was on the left of me. I was in the middle, and the right of me was Ben Davis, and we did that for 8 years. And Rita, my last year at Indiana SRN, as we were going to start our webcasting, she says, "Come over and be my halftime guest." We got about 8 minutes to fill, and I think we filled about 19 minutes. Rita has been very inspirational to what we have done, and we have now with Indiana SRN, as you know, we are centrally located, and we are everywhere. We see our banners everywhere. You see our banners everywhere, and it's just refreshing to have those people in our lives, like you, Herb, giving me a young man a shot as officiating, and now it does go and completely circle. And I think God has inspired us to do what we do, to maybe benefit His kingdom. And if we could do that, if one person can know who we serve, it's all worth it.
Well, and that's kind of what we get at. I look back, several of my players throughout my career have ended up in ministry, and one of them right now I listen to every Sunday. I mean, he's my pastor, and so can you imagine coaching somebody, and then 30 years later, you're in the church, and you end up joining his church because you have such a connection with this guy, simply because football and his faith, and he was radically saved. So this kid is one of those where you're coaching along, and you're thinking, man, what is this guy ever going to do with his life?
Right.
And here he is. He gets radically saved. He ends up in the pulpit, preaches very well, very biblically based, and wonderful guy. He was a welder before he started the ministry, and it's like amazing. Runs a church. Our church is somewhere around 180 every Sunday, and that's fairly large for a little town like Covington. And but you get to hear this guy really pour his heart out every week and sit and talk to him about what's going on, and those are the relationships that come full circle. And that's maybe the most amazing full circle I've had.
Yep.
Where here's this guy who was just cocky and arrogant and didn't understand what grace and forgiveness can do in your life, and was raised in a church home, and then all of a sudden, just boom, he gets radically saved, and I'm going to say just an outstanding communicator of the gospel. And I got to see that happen almost all the way through his life. A really neat thing.
Yeah.
So those kinds of things we're seeing. Had another opportunity where one of my kids about years ago actually gave his testimony in front of a crowd after we had just gotten beat on the last second play. And this kid just shared his testimony in front of others, and not a church background, not understanding what's going on, and here's this kid just pouring his heart out in front of a crowd and in front of his parents who weren't saved at that time. So those kinds of things give us the reason that we do what we do. We pour ourselves into kids' lives. We try to see a change in what they're doing, both on the field and off the field. And I think that's That's one of the major things that's going on. And in our relationships we build, and you mentioned this before, we've come full circle. I hired you at one point,
right?
To officiate, do those kinds of things. And now, when I'm broadcasting different places, I get to pour into the people that I'm around and that I'm with, and they understand what's going on. My broadcast partner has a young boy, and every time I see him, I'm asking him how he did in his Bible quiz and all those things, because it's not, even though we connect with sports, that's not what we're talking about all the time. So the connections can be at different levels with everyone we come in contact with, and can help spread the gospel to those that we come in contact with. And that's the neat thing about broadcasting, athletics, education, and coaching.
Coach, we're going to take a 2-minute break. When we come back, we got a lot more in store for you. Would you just hang on with us for a little bit longer?
Sure can.
We'll take this 2-minute break. You're listening to Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
There's no greater anti-poverty measure than to give a person a job that helps them start to change that trajectory. Thousands of people get jobs here from all of these diverse backgrounds. We're helping write that story of that better future that we know they can get, we know that they deserve.
Morales Group is a full-service staffing company that provides temporary labor in the Indianapolis, Central Indiana market.
Come talk to us. We would love to work with you.
So you called us because you're stressed from all that clutter taking up your space. The best part is we do all the heavy lifting for you, so you can just sit back and relax. Our hunks call at least 20 to 30 minutes prior to your appointment window. You don't need to lift a finger except to point what items you would like us to haul away. Thanks again for choosing College Hunks Hauling Junk, and we look forward to providing you with a stress-free hauling experience.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, God's Word 24/7, and sports.
Question. When you walk into the boardrooms of the most successful companies here in Indiana, who do you meet? Answer. Men and women who played high school sports. Education-based high school sports give us more than athletes we can root for. They give us leaders we can depend on. Question. So where will we find tomorrow's leaders? Answer. High school sports.
This message presented by the Indiana High School Athletic Association and the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Craving comfort fresh food made from scratch daily? Check out Aspen Creek Grill. Located across from Hamilton Town Center and beside the Holiday Inn, we offer family farm-raised premium Black Agnes steaks hand-cut daily, creamy pastas, salmon chicken, and fall-off-the-bone ribs. Start with our famous powwow shrimp appetizer, and don't miss our refreshing drinks. Family-friendly or a great night out with friends. Aspen Creek Grill. Aspen Creek Grill, Noblesville. Call 317-559-3300.
You're listening to Indiana SRN, home for God's Word 24/7 and sports. Herb King joins us on the Sports Zone. Thank you very much for listening. As we got a couple minutes here before you wrap things up today, Coach, you talked about your coaching career and your broadcasting career, and also back in the day of FCA. Phil Myers is a long time. He was part of our crew. Come back and think about one memory. You got about 90 seconds or so. One memory that you remember of that crew, because we were a wacky type of officiating crew.
Yeah, you were. In basketball, we'd hire one crew, which was Phil Myers. That's what I'd put down on the contract, and he would bring 4. So it usually was Phil and of course you, and there were 4 guys that would come. All of them varsity quality officials that would come out early in his career, and they would just switch from varsity to JV from one game to the other, and they had a great time and really did a lot. I know they communicated all the way through. Those guys were all talkers. But I can remember one time I had a major event in the fall, and I was not able to make one of the coaches' clinics where you have to go in and you have to go through the rules interpretation and see what's going on. I immediately called the IHSAA the next day, and I said, hey, look, I'm new at this. Tell me what I've got to do. And this is I think in about 1979 or 1989 or 90. And they said, well, who do you know that's an official? I'm like, well, I know this Phil Myers guy. That's about all I know. And they said, well, you call him and he'll take care of all the problems of going through the rules interpretation for you. And so I still remember, here's me asking Phil, well, what's wrong with, what's going on with the rules interpretation? He's like, well, you know them anyhow. You know what's going. You could argue them as well as anybody else. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But, he very accommodating. You guys really had a good time together. I know that.
And that conversation was about 4 hours and 25 minutes long too. I'm sure it was. So, Phil, it was a great guy. He gave me my start in officiating. Him, Gene Owens, and Don Wade. Don Wade is now in heaven and enjoying heaven, I'm sure. But a lot of fun. Hey, we got to go. I'd like to call you again if we can. With this show will last for a little bit longer, and next month maybe I'll give you another call.
All right, that'd be fine. I'll stay on. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That wraps it up for today. It is Indiana SRN. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, 11 to 12 Eastern, right here on Indiana SRN. We want to thank all of our guests. Have a great day. God bless. You're listening to Indiana SRN, God's Word 24/7 and sports.
Indiana SRN, where you're always in the game. Hey, it's Kurt Wallace from the Weekend Top 20 Countdown with a reminder that Lunch Break with Coach is coming up next here on IndianaSRN.org. It's inspiring music and so much more. Don't miss Lunch Break. It's coming up next on Indiana SRN.